and provided to all requesting persons, organizations, and news media in compliance with Section 30-4-80 of the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. Members of the public who wish to view the meeting via live stream access, please select the link as indicated on the agenda. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion for that, please?
This is Jason Wigan. I move to accept the agenda for today's meeting, July 16, 2026.
I second.
Moved and properly second that the agenda for today's meeting be approved. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. The next thing is the approval or disapproval of absent members. Mr. Williams?
All members are present, Madam Chair.
The next item then is the approval of the April 16, 2026 meeting minutes.
I move to approve the April 16th, 2026 board minutes.
Second.
The second that the minutes of the April 16, 2026 meeting, the minutes be approved. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes, same sign. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Number 5 on the agenda is the administrative reports. The first is the Office of Investigations and Enforcement status report, please.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, members of the board. I'm Jarixa Alexander. I'm the lead investigator, and this first report is just for information only. This information was collected from the beginning of the year, January 1st, until June the 25th, and at that time, we have received 10 complaints. We have 5 active investigations, and we closed 6 cases. Yes, ma'am.
Next item is Investigations and Enforcement IRC.
Yes, ma'am. So at this point, we have one case, 2026-3, and the IRC members recommended a dismissal on this case.
The recommendation from IRC, please.
I make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the IRC.
Probably seconded that we accept the recommendation from IRC. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes, same sign. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. The next item is 5C, Office of Disciplinary Counsel status report, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, everybody. My name is Mary Campbell, and I'm an attorney with the Office of Disciplinary Counsel. I'm doing a report today to you for the status report as of July 7th, and it's for information purposes. We have 9 open cases. We have 1 pending hearing and agreements. We have 0 final orders at this moment, 0 closed, 0 appeals. And this report went from January 1st through July 7th.
Financial report, Mr. Williams, item 5D.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, you have the financial report before you in your materials. And the board's beginning cash balance, which was July 1 of last year, was $2,638,563.28. Excuse me. The board's revenue since that time period is $106,060. The board's direct expenses are $175,584.77. The board's shared expenses is $104,260.36, with the current cash balance of $2,464,778.15. And so the budget is in good shape right now.
Thank you very much. We accept your report. Good morning. Before we start the hearing, we want everybody to introduce themselves, please.
Good morning, Mac Williams. I'm the administrator of the board.
Good morning, I'm Sarah Emery. I'm a speech pathologist on the board.
I'm Brandy Duncan. I'm advice counsel to the board.
Gwen Wilson, Board Chair, Audiologist.
Beth Montgomery, Vice Chair, Speech Pathologist.
Jason Wiggand, board member, audiologist.
Mike Leonard, a public member, engineer.
Thank you. Great to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, this hearing is called to order. This is the matter of Tammy Campbell. The purpose of this hearing is to determine whether Ms. Campbell's application for licensure as a speech-language pathologist should be granted. Everyone is reminded that these proceedings are being recorded and that all witnesses must be sworn before they testify. All remarks should be directed to the chairperson. My name is Dr. Gwendolyn Wilson, and I am chair of the South Carolina Board of Examiners in Speech-Language Pathology and Audiology. The attorney assigned to advise us during this hearing is Brandy Duncan, Office of Advice Counsel with LLR. A quorum of the board is present. Do any of the board members have reason to recuse themselves from this matter? Okay. This hearing will be held in accordance with the provisions of the South Carolina Administrative Procedures Act and the statutes and regulations of the South Carolina Board of Examiners in Speech-Language Pathology and Audiology Practice Act. Williams, have the board members received Ms. Campbell's application?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Did the staff subpoena any other persons to be here today to answer any questions we might have?
No, Madam Chair.
What questions did the staff have concerning this application?
Ms. Campbell is seeking licensure as a speech-language pathologist. She has a current ASHA certification that expires on March 31st, 2027. Ms. Campbell also has a current license in the state of North Carolina and the state of Georgia. The issue before the board today is Ms. Campbell answered yes to personal history questions number 1 and 2 on her application. Question 1, have you ever been notified to appear or appear before any professional or occupational licensing jurisdiction for a hearing or complaint? Question 2, have you ever had a license denied, surrendered, suspended, revoked, or restricted by any professional or occupational licensing agency for any reason? Ms. Campbell is present to address the board today concerning this matter and provide further context concerning her application.
Is the applicant present?
Yes,
Yes. Are you represented by counsel?
I am not.
You're not. You understand that you have the right to be represented by counsel of your own choosing in this matter?
I do.
Okay. Did you receive the notice of this hearing that was sent out? In that notice, you were advised of your right to counsel in this matter, correct?
Yes,
So you decided not to obtain an attorney and to represent yourself today, is that correct?
yes.
Okay. Ms. Campbell, do you have witnesses that you intend to call to testify on your behalf?
I have my mother and father.
Give their full names for the record and their relationship. Do they plan to testify?
If need be.
Okay. Well, we need their full names for the record, please.
Okay. Regina Campbell is my mother, and Timothy Campbell is my father. Okay. Sure.
So at this, did you? Okay, that's what I was going to say. At this time, any persons who may testify need to stand and be sworn in, please.
solemnly swear or testify
Much. Ms. Campbell, are you ready to show us why you should be granted a license despite the questions raised by the staff?
I am.
Okay, you may begin.
I have been a speech pathologist for 28 years, and have had no complaints. I have built wonderful relationships and rapport with my families and caregivers and my patients. And in '07, I relocated from Georgia, and I failed to receive my courtesy renewal for the state of North Carolina. It was an oversight on my part, and it was also an oversight on the firm that I was working for. I was reinstated after a brief suspension and in '07 and continued to work, and I have renewed for 19 years. I've held jobs with no gaps, no complaints. 19 years. I have not missed a renewal, and I have been with my previous company for over 15 years, and I've been lead preceptor trainer in multiple counties and over 10 offices. And I would love to transition to South Carolina and continue my profession here.
Much. Questions, board members?
Ms. Campbell, could you review that timeline again?
I can. In March, my renewal is due on March 24th of '07. That's when it was due, and I did not receive my courtesy notice in the mail. And I failed to renew my license. I contacted the board myself when I realized, and then we went to a meeting, and they briefly suspended it until it was reinstated July of '07. And I've had no issues, I'd never forget, but I actually, a little bit of personal information, I had gone through a difficult divorce, relocation, and was not getting my mail. And now, it's, of course, our responsibility, but I failed to receive that, and my company, it was an oversight, but I did, in honesty, contact the board and explain to them, and we resolved the matter, and I was reinstated. So I've been reinstated since July of '07 with no issues, and my last company, 15 years.
March and July, were you actually working?
I worked from the very end of March to the very beginning of July
In
around different counties, mostly Leland and Wilmington, North Carolina. And I went to a meeting with the board and Sandra Capps, and everything was resolved, and I was reinstated.
Did you do any billing during the time your license was lapsed?
I did, yes, ma'am, and all monies were returned. That was discussed, and all monies were given, and that everything was resolved, and then they issued my license to practice again in '07. It was a brief, I think, 3 to 4 week suspension, and then I went back to work, and everything was resolved, and no issues from almost 19 years.
This is Jason Wiggett. I move to enter executive session.
A second.
For clarity of the record, the motion is to enter executive session for legal advice. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's moved and second. Do we have a second for that?
Second.
Second. We're in executive session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
There a motion at this time regarding the disposition?
This is Beth Montgomery, and I move to,
Thank you.
Jason Wigan, I second that motion.
Second that Ms. Campbell be granted the license to practice. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Motion's carried. The decision be announced today. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for your attendance today.
And thank you all.
All right.
Sorry, I'm emotional.
If you would like to speak with Mr. Owens on your way out, he can tell you about the next steps, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Next item on the agenda, resolution guidelines, continued business. We started this conversation the last meeting, so this is a continuation.
Yes, Madam Chair. So the discussion at the last meeting focused primarily on the fact that the draft of these guidelines was a little complicated, a lot going on, and maybe covered some categories that it didn't need to cover. So we really kind of pared it down, simplified it. If you notice, it's not a 7-page document now, it's a 2-page document. And essentially, what it does is it sort of explains on the first page the general procedure that would be used, but then on page 2 it provides the chart of what we would be looking at for all cases of unlicensed practice due to a failure to renew with continued practice, or an SLPA that has no supervisor and practice during that same time. And it essentially puts it into 2 categories for all license types, well, really 3. A first offense where it's 1 to 30 calendar days, a first offense with 31 or more calendar days, and a second or subsequent offense. And just sort of provide some guidelines for staff for first offenses of 1 to 30 calendar days to be able to offer a consent agreement for discipline, essentially for a public reprimand, a fine commensurate with the type of license it is and the fact that it's a relatively short period of time, as well as some continuing education that would need to be done. For anything where it's a first offense with 31 or more days, they would still need to appear before the board for a hearing, and anything that's a second or subsequent offense, even if it's just 1 day, would require a board appearance as well. Happy to answer any questions about sort of how we've reworked this, or take any feedback if there's a need for additional modifications, or if everybody's happy with this draft, then we could do a motion to approve, just depending on what the desire of the board is.
Just say something about the fine amount.
So the fine amounts, the recommendation was for example, and I'm going to use intern, the first offense, I'm just going to talk first offenses, 1 to 30 calendar days. For an intern, the fine amount that I believe we discussed at the last meeting was felt that it would be appropriate at about the $100 level, whereas for a speech language pathologist or an audiologist, the thought was $250. And so we had not previously had a category for the SLPAs, and so we just kind of plopped them in the middle of those 2. I literally, because we hadn't discussed the fine amount for them, so I just kind of did the math. But obviously, if the feeling is that that number is not appropriate, we can adjust those quite easily to feels is appropriate. So, and again, all the ones that would actually require an appearance, although there is a recommended sort of fine amount, the board is not locked into that. You know, it's a general guideline to help guide y'all to be consistent, but obviously any case is going to have its own individual facts and circumstances which might justify a higher or a lesser fine amount based on that specific case.
Eyes
One
draft.
comment,
Okay.
the engineer in the crowd. One thing that I notice is on the second offense for all the applicants, it's a fine is $1,000, but then for subsequent offenses, it's also just $1,000. So I was thinking that, maybe
Yeah, that's because of the limitation in y'all's statute. You're not allowed to fine more than $1,000 for a singular violation.
That's the max.
So, but that's also why your range is kind of up to $1,000 for the second offenses, because you might have a case that's particularly bad, particularly egregious. Maybe somebody practiced a whole year in one of these categories. So you might feel strongly that they need that highest level fine amount. So. Welcome.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
So we need a motion to approve.
If that's the desire of the board, it's
Okay.
for us to start utilizing
No
this.
further comments, questions?
Sorry to interject. We can hear clearly back here, but the microphones don't seem to be picking anyone up at the front.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I just said if there are no further comments, questions, or recommendations, we need a motion to formally adopt this, the guidelines as presented today by Ms. Duncan.
I make a motion to adopt the guidelines as they are presented today.
Moved and properly second that the guidelines, sanctioned guidelines as presented be accepted. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposers, nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. So this is the final document that we're going to use, which should be helpful for everybody involved. Thank you.
Certainly.
And item number 8 on the agenda is intern lapsed license process. And Mr. Williams is going to lead the discussion on that topic.
Yes, Madam Chair, and members of the board, we wanted to talk about the process for lapsed intern licenses because our statutes or regulations don't really provide a provision for a lapsed license. So those typically have been brought before the board for review. And so we don't have a lot of those because we've changed processes. We send out automated notifications at 30 days when an intern license is 30 days out and going to lapse. Then they get another notification at 15 days, and then they will receive a notification letting them know their license has expired. And so we don't get a lot of those now because we have that process in place. But we have received a couple of applications here recently that kind of fall within that category. And one of the applications was from maybe 2021. And so the person is trying to reapply for the license because they never completed the internship during that time period. And so we're just trying to get guidance from the board how to proceed with these types of applications. And if it's something that you would like staff to review and approve, if so, give us guidance on that. Or if you'd like for them to continue to come before the board for review. And so that's the discussion we need to have at this time.
And I'll be happy to kind of take this one on the chin. I was the one who said to Mac, I don't understand. I'm not clear on why we're asking them to have a hearing before the board if they have supplied us with all the documentation that the statutes have said they need to apply for that second year of essentially of their internship. The particular gentleman that Mac mentioned, who has been out for a number of years, did originally apply in January, had not yet passed his praxis, and we said, no, we can't even consider this until you pass your praxis. He's now passed his praxis, and so that's kind of how this came up, is because I was saying, well, it looks like he's met everything in the statutes. It looks like we could just go ahead and do it, but Mac was explaining that historically, those have always come before the board. So we just wanted to discuss it with you to check and see, is that the practice y'all still want us to do? Is to always bring those before the board if somebody has actually expired, essentially not renewed that intern license before the expiration? Or if they've met all the statutory requirements, can staff just go ahead and approve them unless there is other question or concern about whether they actually qualify?
So who's reapplying for an intern license or now a full speech pathology license?
He's reapplying for an intern license because he did not
Why?
finish his hours with the first supervisor.
But then, like, I guess I would wonder in that situation, I guess each situation may be slightly different, but I'm curious because you have a supervisor who knows when the end date is. You have the intern that knows when the end date is. So how is it lapsing? Are they submitting documentation saying, hey, it's the end date, we're not done? Did they forget to submit it? Did the person continue working and didn't realize it needed to be submitted? Those would be questions that I would have, like, what has he done since 2021? How many hours did he get?
Just that 2021 date, like I know we had many people around that time not able to finish in that 1 year because of COVID and just the way we were working. I had never had so many people not be able to finish their intern hours.
Right. All the ones that I've seen here recently, it's been that the applicant essentially walked away from the internship for one reason or another, whether it was essentially to take another job where they can make more money to support their family, or things weren't working out with that supervisor for some reason or another. So.
But in
it
those
was
situations,
like
they're
that.
not notifying the board, hey, I'm leaving this job, I want.
Right.
There's no communication with the board.
That's my understanding, yeah.
And I think one of the situations, I think the individual had not passed the praxis exam at the time, and so that's part of that requirement to renew that license after you've had it for 1 year, is to make a pass praxis exam.
And I will say there are actually, there's some statutes and some regs that essentially say from the first date you are issued that intern license, you must pass the praxis within 12 months, period. So I think probably the intent of that was so that somebody could not renew their intern license without having passed the praxis exam. But it also is very plainly says you must pass it within 12 months. So that causes some other concerns.
Right, because he didn't pass it within 12 months of when it was first issued, but he has passed it now.
But he doesn't have the hours, yeah. Yeah.
And then, like last time, we talked a little bit about, like the alternative pathway to get the hours, which is a separate discussion, like to move, like you'd said, what if they didn't complete it within the time period? Would we let them count some of the hours they'd gotten? In this situation, how do we handle, would you want guidance on that? Like if they had done, let's say, 500 hours, they want to renew, can those 500 hours carry over? Does it matter how much gap there was between? To me, there seems like there could potentially be a lot of questions given the different situations.
And that's an excellent point, and maybe that's why originally the board said that they wanted these to come before them. I know that I see that with some of my other boards, like funeral board, which has essentially an apprentice-type program, and if you have too much of a break, they'll say, no, you got to start over from the beginning. You got to start all your hours over from the beginning. Perhaps that's why the board wanted it originally to come in front of them to.
That could be one of the reasons why, like there could be, just many different scenarios that could possibly happen in the situation, so.
So you're only asking. Internship is not really based on that. Oh, lapse license, intern license or lapse
Well,
RPA license?
We're talking about the internship, so the
But I thought
the intern
internship.
license, and so, and also with the particular situation with the individual that's been out since 2021, if it was a normal renewal, the individual will need at least 8 hours of Continuing Education to renew that license, but since it's been so long, would the board still require only 8 hours, or would you require additional hours?
So I actually looked that up this morning. I wasn't able to share this with Mr. Williams for the meeting, but there is a regulation that says just for 1 2-year period. So it would just be the 8 hours. And I found the regulation to back that part up, at least. But yeah, so I think the question is primarily, it sounds like there's good reasons for still bringing those before the board so that y'all can look at those individual situations and in specific cases say, okay, you're going to need to probably start your hours over again because it's of whatever factors, whether it's length of time or whatever, or, oh yeah, it's just been a short period of time, it's fine, you can combine your hours between the two. And I'm seeing lots of nodding heads. So I think that's what we'll do, and we'll just, these 2 that I'm aware of that we've had recently, we'll get them scheduled for the next.
On another note, thank you so much for sending this 30 and 15-day notice. I'm sure that is incredibly helpful.
That helped. Have we resolved that issue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. The next item then is the CE request for approval or disapproval. We have 3 courses that were presented. Do you have any comments, questions regarding the 3 CE requests? One on human trafficking for healthcare professionals. Another one on telemedicine and healthcare innovations, applications, and best practices. And the third one is understanding autism spectrum disorder, evidence-based practices for health providers. 3 courses that are being presented, I think, by the same company. For approval. Any questions, comments, concerns regarding these 3 courses? How would the board?
In reviewing these, I think the only one that would raise a concern for me of why it would be for, I think it's really important information that you need to know, but human trafficking for healthcare professionals, I'm not quite sure. I think it's really important that we need to know. It needs to, but does that count for credit?
So you're objecting to that? And yes.
I'm not saying yes or no right now, but just a concern. Comment.
Additional comments?
On human trafficking, I think it's incredibly important information that we need to know, but how that relates back to the practice of speech-language pathology.
Able to count for continuing ed credit. I agree with that comment, and I feel like there's lots of things that are important to know for our job, but do they count for?
The one comment I have is the human trafficking one is the only one that has the presenter's information. I mean, requirement of CEU submission. The other 2, unless I missed it, or unless it was commented that it's the same person, both, I know it's kind of
Sounds like there's a
nitpicky,
consensus
but I
to,
don't see the presenter information, I just know that's a requirement.
sounds like there's a consensus to omit that one. Is that what I'm hearing? Yeah, human trafficking be omitted
I don't,
because of its relationship to the Practice Act and usage for continuing education. So we can entertain a motion to omit that one and include the other 2 or whatever is the board's pleasure.
2 things. One, that one, to include or omit the human trafficking. The second thing and I'd mentioned, is the other 2, telemedicine and autism, don't have the speaker's credentials, the presenter's credentials and information, unless I'm missing something. That's what Patricia Dunn, the speaker's information for the human trafficking presentation is included, but in the submission, and again, seems nitpicky, I'm just saying for the submission, there's not speaker information on the other two.
They only
usually have to
provided
give a CV.
they only provided an outline
Yeah.
with that record, and so
They have outcomes, they have all that, everything else I see.
yeah, and so no, they didn't provide that information. The only thing provided was what's in your materials.
Do they need to provide, and it's just clarification on my part, they do the
Yes, they should-
CV or
they should have
information on the
provided that
presenter?
information.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Authors?
Right, I was going to say, it does say on the first page is sort of the typed the part, that the authors or collaborators, it lists their names and their professional license abbreviations.
Of course.
For the telemedicine and healthcare, and also for the understanding autism spectrum disorder. If you go to page 2 of each one, but that's all it provides is their names and what their professional licenses are.
Okay, still, I thought that they had to submit a CV, professional. If not, that's my mistake.
I'm not
Sorry.
sure what they normally submit.
And I missed that because obviously I got to put my glasses back on.
Authors and collaborators for the telemedicine. There's a PTA, OTA, and
I'm not sure what an essay is.
I don't know what that
Does
refers
anybody else
to.
know what that is?
Not sure though. That's it, I guess.
I mean, if everybody's questioning it, we're just going to omit it or request additional information. What's the pleasure of the board? We can, back.
Right.
Okay, so the consensus then now is to omit.
On those two, I would, because
Yeah.
no idea. You got a name and you got some digits, a couple,
Okay, so
and
I agree. We just need a motion.
so we'll make a motion for approval or denial of all three, or individual, okay. Well, with the human trafficking one, the only thing I want to mention is in our Practice Act, and I don't have it memorized, of course, but what they're reviewing here is patient protection, public protection of our providers. We want them to be, just like if there's an event that they need to call 911 for, if there's an event to recognize, dangers in our practice while practicing. So I'm not trying to talk us into an answer on the human trafficking, but I mean, that's the way I look at it, that, again, you have a quote unquote parent, you have a caregiver and a child come in, and to be aware of such dynamics between those two while in a professional setting, a clinical setting. So anyway, that's how I look at it, whether or not it's a consensus. I just want to bring that up as far as the acceptance of it as a CEU, as an educational opportunity to be approved in that capacity. So. Well, I mean, just like, again, if we got to recognize somebody's having a heart attack or having, anaphylactic shock because they ate peanuts before they walked in, I mean, just as far as the public protection, clinical, or as clinical providers to recognize patient, or keep in mind, that's all. Whether or not we got to accept it.
And a couple comments I have. I feel like in the past, and I don't know this for sure without looking at previous notes, but I feel like we've approved courses before, like bloodborne pathogens, things like that. To me, this is very similar to that. It's not that different. And I do think in the state of South Carolina, there is a big push to identify and help support victims of human trafficking. So I think that is something, too, to consider when looking at this course specifically.
Actually, to that point, it's not just a South Carolina push, it's a national push. It's something that apparently is very big on the federal oversight level as well, but primarily because you see human trafficking doing a lot of border crossing. activities, so.
Particular one.
Yeah, they did put their information in, they put their self-assessment in. It does seem to have all the required pieces. And I will say, even in the public schools, sometimes we see families where we think, so I can see the benefit of it with impact on our practice.
Hey, I'm open to more comments, questions, or a motion to accept or reject.
Do we motion individually? Or each one? Okay.
Separating.
I
or
make a
do it
motion that we
individual?
accept the CE proposal for human trafficking as is.
I would second that.
Okay. Moved and properly second that the continuing education course, human trafficking, be accepted.
Aye.
The ayes have it, the motion is carried, so that one is accepted. So we need a motion for the other two.
Beth Montgomery, and I move that we reject the telemedicine and the understanding autism spectrum disorder because they don't have the required components. The presenter information and then the self-assessment.
Second.
At the course on telemedicine, healthcare, and understanding autism spectrum to be rejected for the reasons stated. We don't have the, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Thank you very much. That's the CE request for approval and disapproval. You got that, Mr. Williams?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Item number 10 on the agenda is the IRC member, appoint Audiology IRC member. We have a statement from Dr. Ledbetter saying that she is stepping down from IRC, and she nominated or is recommending a young lady, I say young lady, I don't know if she's young, an audiologist too.
She's
You know
very
her
young,
personally?
Jason.
Okay, right, the young lady.
Yeah.
Okay. To replace her, she has a very comprehensive vita submitted. And of course, Dr. Ledbetter is well-known and respected, and she would, I thought that was very grateful of her to suggest she knows how important the IRC is. She served on this board from the beginning, way back. And so this person brings broad experiences in the profession of audiology. She was licensed in something like 6 states. Gamut, the population and various work settings. In other words, I'm saying it seems like she is a very capable candidate. See, and so I'd be open now to hear a recommendation or a motion at this appointment. Usually when people step down, they don't take the step of recommending somebody. We have to hunt and look for quite a long time. So I really appreciate the idea of her suggestion. And of course, according to Max, she agreed to serve until we make the appointment.
That's correct, Madam Chair.
So anyway, comments, recommendations from the board, please. Has everybody looked over her resume?
Yeah, she, her
familiar with-
husband was in the service. Her husband was, he retired officer. So where she was because of military deployment or reassignments and stuff like that. And then here, 2017-ish, yeah, I think 2017, my son. All right, so she moved here in 2017, opened a practice, her and her husband, Rob. They do VA, CMP, compensation and pension exams. They do psych, so they also employ a psychologist and do, again, VA, they have VA contracts. They have a VA contract. And so now there's probably, I think, 6 or 8 locations around South Carolina. So, yeah, I have no apprehension. She's very well, various clinical settings, and I do think, and been very active in other states. She's very active in SCAA currently. So in the profession, I do think she is a good candidate.
Oh, we need a motion to accept the nominee as a replacement for Dr. Ledbetter. Her name is Schultz, I believe.
Jill Schultz.
Schultz. And then Mr. Williams. Normally, or in the past, we were using former board members, but that practice waned, got lost some years ago. So we accepting recommendations for people who are willing to serve. Like she would really bring a lot to IRC. Motion to approve, please.
Jason Wiggin, I move to approve Michelle Schultz, audiologist, as a candidate to serve on the IRC committee.
Second?
Properly second that Dr. Michelle Schultz be approved and appointed and asked to serve on the, she has a statement saying she's willing to serve, but Mac will handle the rest of that. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes nay. Ayes have it. The ayes have it and the motion is carried. Thank you. All right. Next item, number 11, board meeting dates. Are these all on Thursdays, Mr. Williams?
Yes, Madam Chair.
All Thursdays, meeting dates for 2027, and we'll be in a different room.
Be right next door in the upstate meeting room. Slightly bigger room.
Bigger.
Okay, so that's information. Thank you very much.
Well, we need to make sure we put a motion and approve the dates if there's no issues with those dates for 2027.
You said we need a motion? We need a motion
Madam
to
Chair.
approve the meeting dates for it says 26 meeting dates? 2027. Okay, in the headline, you got 26, though. You see that?
On printout, yes, that's just a typo.
Oh, okay.
Because it is.
You're right.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Jason Wiggin. I move to approve the quarterly meeting dates for the 2027 calendar year for the Board of Speech Pathology and Audiology.
A second?
Properly second that the meeting dates for 2027 be approved. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes, same sign. The motion is carried. The dates are approved. Thank you very much. The next item then is number 12, legislative update. And
Yes, ma'am. We just wanted to let you know that the regulation changes that were sought during the last legislative season have passed and gone into effect as of May 22nd of this year. Those were the changes to correct the title of the regulations. If you remember, it used to have a speech/language pathology versus speech hyphen language pathology. And also when talking about a speech-language pathology assistant presenting evidence of their bachelor's degree, the regs originally said that they had to have a bachelor's degree in speech-language pathology, and we added in the language to allow an equivalent degree, and to allow the board to review curriculums for equivalent degrees, to make sure that it fits appropriately within this profession. And those were essentially the only changes in the regs, but they have passed effective May 22nd.
Okay.
Anything change with some of the information that had been presented before with?
No, ma'am, because to do some of those title changes that we've discussed before would require changes in the statutes first, and then after the statutory changes are made, then we would go into the regs after that and update the regs to conform to whatever statutory changes ultimately might pass in the future.
Okay.
Oh, not that I know of. I believe that we are still working on language for possible changes to the Practice Act. At least that's the last I heard. We have representatives in the audience. Do y'all know what the status is?
I can share very briefly. Kelly Caldwell with South Carolina Speech Language Hearing Association. We have had ongoing committee meetings. We've actually met with SC Academy of Audiology and with the Advice Council and Board Administrator. We've done a little bit more work, and we've just contacted ASHA again about something we're looking at related to supervisor protections as it relates to students. So we're still workshopping a few things to make sure that we don't have to revisit the Practice Act in another 5 or 10 years. So we want to make this one-shot deal.
But yeah, I would anticipate that we probably will work through those issues and be able to present something at the next board meeting about kind of where we are. But as you can imagine, this legislative session got a little wild at the end, and so that kind of stalled our work for a while because we had to direct attentions to some other places. But pretty much wrapped up except for finalizing the budget. I think we'll be able to redirect do this, finish working through it.
So do you have in mind a specific date when you will address this issue again?
Not yet, ma'am.
Okay. Would you mind sharing that information with me once that is determined?
Yes, I certainly will, yeah.
All right, thank you. Any other comments regarding legislative update? Comments or questions? Okay, the final item on the agenda is item number 13, ASLP compact update. Any news? They're looking for executive director, I believe was the last report. Has anything?
All right. I'll just read off the recap of the call. The following 5 rules were adopted by the full commission at the special meeting and will become effective July 29, 2026. Chapter 5 is a rule on dispute resolution. Chapter 6 is a rule on joint investigations. Chapter 7, a rule on postgraduate professional experience requirements. Chapter 8 on national examination requirements, and Chapter 9 on military identification. And that was as far as, someone who was employed by the VA or et cetera, being excluded from necessary requirements to be part of a compact because the VA gives them ability to practice in the United States. And that's it. That's all. Yes, the next meeting, unless they call a special one, will be at the NCSB meeting in October in Denver.
Thank you very much. Comments or questions? Mr.
Madam
Williams?
Chair, I don't know, Ms. Caldwell, do you have any updates on your end for the compact?
There's only one more update I was going to share about H3021, which was a bill we were very interested in. There was a lot of work behind the scenes that was very quietly done to improve the bill. So it still met the goals of the majority party, but got passed in the best form it could, so it would not have an ongoing negative impact on regulations. So if you feel like looking at H3021, it has been ratified. So that was a lot of the work we had to do to take a break from other things that Skisha had been working on, and our lobbyist was essential in that work, in forming coalitions with various state agencies, various professional associations, and having hard conversations with our General Assembly. So that's the last one.
Comments or questions? Hearing none.
I make a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
Second?
Aye.